right, cool. Welcome back, guys, to the state of e-commerce. As always, I am TJ Highland here with my co-host Ben Stein of Payoneer. And this week we have Will Haire, who's the co-founder and CEO of Bellavix. Will, how's it going?
Going great, guys. Thanks for having me. I like that intro, 30 seconds too. Very tranquil, kind of the calm before the storm, guys. I like it.
Every week there's like music or there's a countdown. Sometimes there's music, sometimes there's not. One week we did it had like EDM music, so very much set the calming tone before we jump in.
Set the tone. I like it.
Cool. So I think a little bit about Will and why we brought him on the show today. Like I said, he's the co-founder and CEO of Bellavix. Has 8+ years of experience working in e-commerce. Working with Seller Central, Vendor Central, Amazon's advertising platform, and DSP. In terms of Bellavix as a company, they've worked with established consumer brands and private labels in the planning, implementation, execution of their business plans for whether they're selling across Amazon or other third-party marketplaces. So, Will, we're going to talk a little bit about Bellavix and about his business plans and some customer stories and what he's learned to try and forelay that knowledge onto you guys as listeners. So, Ben, I know we have a bunch to talk about, so let's jump in.
Yeah, of course, TJ, thanks so much. And Will, excited to talk to you today. I think that intro is great and really excited to hear some of your case studies and client success you've had.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thanks, TJ.
Of course.
So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience working with e-commerce entrepreneurs, Amazon sellers, and how you came to found Bellavix?
Yeah, sure. So, I've been in e-commerce and advertising or digital marketing in general for a little over 8 years. I actually started out, interesting enough, as a licensed electrician. So I was in the U.S. Navy. I did 5 years there, and I left that commitment and went off to college and graduated in entrepreneurship. And that whole period, I worked full-time at a power plant as a technician and worked my way up to an ops manager, but could not stand it. Nothing wrong with that line of work. It just wasn't something I was really passionate about. So essentially, I graduated with a degree in entrepreneurship. I left a six-figure job to make $13 an hour to work at a startup digital marketing agency. And I haven't looked back since. It's been really a great roller coaster. And probably like a lot of other agency owners is that I really started out in advertising and SEO, migrated over to marketplaces and Amazon and have been committed to that. And I do have a lot of conversations with other agency owners. I feel like there's two ways people start an agency. It's one, unknowingly you start an agency. I created websites for friends and family. And then before you know it, they're referring their friends and family. And then you're hiring somebody. And then before you know it, you're in over your head. And you're running this agency. And the latter is limitations in growth. So that was a large reason why I went over. So I worked at all these different agencies and lots of opportunities. And it was great. I got to work with a lot of different types of products and a lot of different types of sellers and brand owners, which was a truly fantastic experience. But I felt like I was always limited in my role. So 2 years ago, my wife, who's my co-founder, she also has a digital marketing background, and hers is more in like operational catalog, that side of the business, which is what she handles, thank God, because I would be terrible at it. And together we formed Bellavix, and we're 2 years in. We're actually now at 10 employees. We're managing 20 accounts full time, and we're managing about $2 million in sales a month. So it's been a short period of time, and COVID happened to accelerate e-commerce. I really think a lot of it was just right place, right time. But we're truly fortunate to be in this space, working with sellers and helping them scale their brands on Amazon, which is what we're passionate about.
And I think you wrap that up perfectly, right? Scaling your brands on Amazon, which is seemed to be, as you just said, accelerated by COVID. And I think it is something that all sellers are looking to do and really strike while the iron is hot. So with that, can you tell us a little bit about some of the areas that you and your wife and Bellavix really help sellers expand and scale their businesses?
Beautiful. So a lot of it's marketing strategy. So we're a full management company. So we handle operational support, and that's making sure inventory is on point, making sure that everything's accounted for when it's checked into FBA, helping set up FBA. We don't own a warehouse, but we can pretty much hold your hand and walk you through all the steps and help your logistics partner if that's something you do. We also do the customer service, respond to negative reviews. Everything operationally that's a good customer experience. Amazon, they're built on being customer centric, and so we took that concept and have applied it to what we do and how we deliver our services. So we're highly customer focused. We are not looking to work with 100 different brands. We're looking to work with very, very specific brands at a specific point in their maturity level and kind of helping them scale on the platform. And that's through operational support, through customer service, through marketing, through advertising, and through brand protection. So through that, outside of warehousing it, we're kind of covering the full spectrum of what it takes to penetrate the Amazon marketplace, what it takes to optimize your listings to make sure that they're being indexed properly through the back end, and also customer appealing. It's gone are the days when you can just buy a product on Amazon and just buy a product from Alibaba and just sell it and be the lowest price. Now the marketplace has matured, and even with all the tools we have at our disposal now, the video ads, the improvements in the storefront, the enhanced brand content, like everything geared now is to a brand experience. And so when we talk to companies that we're going to work with, it's important that branding is something that they're concerned about. It's important that the bottom line is important, but the customer experience is also important. And those types of brands will succeed on the platform. And so when I say we don't want to work with anybody, we don't want to work with those customers or those sellers, which is nothing wrong with that side of the business, who don't have those pieces in place, because it's going to be a race to the bottom. If you're not brand registered, if you don't have a trademark, if you're a wholesaler who's just getting it at the lowest price and competing with all these other wholesalers, it is a different business model. And our agency and the way we're structured, we're not really set up to help those type of businesses succeed. We're more helping these brands, these established brands and manufacturers improve their presence on the world's largest marketplace.
And diving into that a little bit more, can you maybe share some of the tips and tricks or some of the success stories you've had with some of your clients, whether it's on the operational side or the ad side of the business, and share some of their successes?
Yeah, you got it. So I'll kick it off. I'll do an ops case study, because those are always fun to talk about, and plus you kind of see like the full scope of like, what do you mean by operations? So we have a home and garden client. They sell kitchen stuff, and in this particular category, so the problem they had, so they came to us in January last year, and they were just having problems with growth. They felt like they plateaued, and they were just spinning their wheels on like, how do we get more income? How do we get more sales? We want to be larger than a $250,000 business. And so they actually found us through a local meetup group where I do trainings and deliver educational information. And I guess they like to hear me talk. So we ended up working together, and we started in January. And so a couple of the things he was missing is that he was not brand registered. His listings were optimized for search, but they were optimized for search for somebody who is a layman, read a lot of stuff about it, but isn't necessarily doing it every day like we are. We actually have an in-house copywriter, so we go above the standard. And another piece that really helped is we do split testing. So similar to a website or similar to a landing page, it's like you always want to be testing different hypotheses on what's gonna push the needle. And in culmination with these three basic things, we were able to help him scale his brand on top of the other operational support. So the first issue we ran into is his brand registry. So he trademarked his initials. So he wasn't able to get a word trademark because the brand name was just too generic. So he was able to get his logo, which happened to just be the initials of his brand. So unfortunately, we had to change his brand name on all of his products to the initials, which it is what it is. But we needed the benefits of having the brand registry and what that means. And so what we ended up doing, because we had trouble getting the name to stick, is we did a full update. So we updated everything and we did a full upload. And what we noticed is that all the listings started to re-index pretty quickly. So doing the full update and the full upload was a real benefit, because the next day we saw an immediate improvement in BSR, and we're like, oh, that's really interesting. And this was right before his season was taken off. So March through June is when, he's making a lot of the money that he's going to be making for the year. And then once we saw the BSR improvement, we started to see the sales velocity pick up. And I'm a big fan of the request to review function. So we started to go in the back end and do the request to reviews. And what we started to see is we started to acquire more reviews. And then it started to improve our advertising and validating the listing. And it made it easier to kind of sell through this product. And then the creme de la creme was we got them, I believe, below 1,000 BSR or below 500. But we hit whatever that threshold was. We'll just say 500. And he got the Amazon Choice Badge for a lot of very relevant keywords. Once we had the Amazon Choice Badge, we lost control. We actually sold out of all of his inventory. And by May, we made as much money as he did the entire last year. And to date, we have more than 2x growth. We had a lot of logistical problems because he had to re-get the products from overseas. COVID happened, so we had a ton of issues of getting products back into Amazon. But we got it in time for the holidays. And as of yesterday, because I went and double-checked the account, we're at $585,000. So we more than 2x gross the account. And a lot of it, I hit the high-level issues. The brand registry was a big piece missing. Optimizing his listings for search and doing the split testing were the three, I would say, key components that differentiated what he was doing, that I believe led to us improving the BSR and getting the Amazon Choice Badge, which took us off. It was crazy. But there were other pieces. So the customer service aspect, the request to review function, like all these, the structured data on the back end. And also, I would say pretty regularly, we're able to get reimbursements for mischarges, lost inventory, changes in the dimensions of the packaging. So on average, we were getting him about $2,000 to $3,000 a month back in reimbursements. And since then, we're able to recognize certain trends, and we're able to get him a few $100s back a month. So these are all just different pieces that helped us be more efficient and helped us operationally get him to the next level. And we'll see if we could double it again next year. So, but it's exciting, and it was a fun case study.
Right. And I think in my eyes, you touched on in the beginning, whomever the seller was kind of, read some stuff online and did what that said. Yeah. And that only works to a certain degree, and we actually talked about it on another session here. It's like, that's where there's training versus coaching, and versus like reading yourself and doing it yourself versus working with an agency. And that's the value of an agency, and working with someone who has the experience like you and Bellavix has to not just, take you from, 10% growth over each month, but potentially, 100% growth or 200% growth, whatever it ends up being for the year, especially in, such a unique time. So I think that really just shows the value of, you can do it yourself, sure. But you might hit that plateau like the seller you mentioned did. But how do you take your business to the next level? And, people always say, I don't want to pay an agency. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But, there's real results. And then this is not necessarily guaranteeing results for everyone, but, you can absolutely take this situation and view it for yourself and say, well, what if I did X and what if I did Y? And you don't necessarily know that. And you don't know every knob to turn and button to hit to get that. And it's a little bit of a unique situation for every seller. And that's why agencies like you exist, but also why some businesses have success and some don't, and some fail after, a certain period of time.
And you're absolutely right. Like, for him to scale the business to 250K, it was pretty much him and his wife. I mean, that's great. That's excellent. And then to your point, it just so happens we do it every day. And interpretation too. Like, he read the stuff and he interpreted differently. And we happen to do a lot of testing. So we have hypotheses and we have various categories we work with. So this is the advantage of just the experience. You can't pay for it. And although he had 4 or 5 years on the platform before we started working together, he just hit those limits, and he wasn't understanding how he should tweak or pull the different levers to get the results he was looking for.
And well, I know another feature that you guys are really proud of, and some of the great work that you guys do, is the work with the micro influencers. This is something that I think is super cool and interesting, and frankly, maybe I'm not aware of it, or I'm not seeing it as much as entrepreneurs are using it to scale their businesses and brands. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how it's worked for a lot of your clients?
Excellent. Yeah, sure. Love to talk about the influencer programs, and to give some background. So the influencer program, the way we have it set up is we subscribe to a software and you work through us, and we create campaigns, and we enlist these different influencers to go and buy your products on the Amazon platform. And to be clear, and I think this is where a lot of misinterpretation comes in, is like the program is designed for brand awareness, upper funnel targeting, and to get your products in the hands of these influencers who could potentially get more of their followers to at least try your brand and build that brand awareness. It is against Amazon's terms of service to pay for reviews or to request positive reviews. And obviously, we built our business on Amazon. So we do everything within terms of service, because if we're getting people's accounts shut down, I don't think I'll be in business very long. But in a nutshell, how the program works is we come up with this campaign. We pick the data we want. We pick the demographics of the users, and we could use your Facebook data. We could use your website data. We can, if you have brand analytics, your Amazon data, and we come up with this mold of who your target customer is: 18 to 30. Bicycle rider or loves scooters, mopeds, all that fun stuff. And they meet this certain criteria. And they have a certain followership. So they have at least 10,000 followers on Instagram. And so then we also we tell the influencer what we want them to do. So we'll want them to buy the product, to take a picture with the product, and we'll say the picture should look like X, Y, and Z, and here are some examples. And we get to keep that user-generated content. So for brands who are launching, or funds might be an issue and kind of want to figure out a way to get brand awareness, but also get something that they can use on their A+ content, their storefront, their website, landing pages, whatever else. It's user-generated content. It's instant validation. Like, oh, this person looks like me and they use the product, and I think I would like that product. So that's another big advantage. So we tell them the type of user-generated content we like. They post it on their Instagram. They share it with their audience, and then we usually tie it to a promotion. So we'll say, offer a promo code for 10% off, or whatever makes the most sense, and then we kind of roll with it. And what's unique is, so after they buy the product and after they create the content, to kind of wrap up the engagement, is we send out a physical survey or digital survey, and they'll talk about, we ask 3 or 4 questions on their experience with the products, and we're really looking for feedback so you could have a better product. Did the packaging come damaged? Did it feel the way it should feel? Did it look the way we wanted it to look? Like, you tell me the questions, we're able to ask it. And then the second piece of that, and this is where we request a review and we stay in terms of service, is that we have a star inside the survey. 5 stars, you love this product. 4 or less, you didn't love this product. And they'll select that. If they select 4 or less, then they just wrap up the survey and they're on their way. If they select 5 stars, then they're directed, they linked right over to Amazon to the review page. And we don't say anything, with any luck, they know to just leave a review and thank you. And I would say, we get about 60 to 70% of micro influencers will actually leave a 5-star review. So like I said, it's indirect and we don't request it, but we did put some processes in place that, similar like your post-purchase email sequence or request a review function. We happen to have their information, and then we wrap up the engagement. And it works really well, and I'll explain why. So there are a couple benefits, but the biggest benefits is it improves sales velocity, it improves organic ranking, it improves social engagement, and it improves product validation on the platform when you acquire the actual reviews, and also the user-generated content that's associated with that. So right. I'm building the brand, and that's why I really love this program. And then, so to give some context, I can talk about 2 different types of case studies. So we use this for established brands that might have a product that's not as well reviewed as they think it should be. And so we worked with a hair product that was very niche, had like 40 reviews and like 3.7 stars, and they didn't really have user-generated content. It seemed like they had decent sales. I think they were moving like 50 to 60 units a month. But they knew this product could be going better because they know what the potential was in the marketplace or in that specific niche. So he paid for 50 influencers to work with. We got a bunch of content that we put on his website, we put on the landing page, and we advertised off of Amazon. And immediately, it took about 2 months because it's a trickle. You just don't get 50 purchases in a day. But we noticed the month right after we completed that program, he jumped up from 50 to 60 units a month to 120 units a month. And we're like, all right, he had 4.2 stars at this point. And we're like, great. The month right after that, he was at 157. So we're like, okay, this is working. And what was great is we were able to, because now we're seeing the sales velocity, we're able to use a request to review feature. You can tell we use it a lot. Great tool from Amazon. And we started to get more reviews. So currently the product has 115 reviews. It's at 4.5 stars, and we're moving about 180 units a month. And also indirectly, it helped improve advertising because now the product's more validated. So we were doing about a 50% advertising cost of sale, which is great. And it's down to about 35%. So it's doing a lot better. So that's another indirect benefit of having a product that's more validated than it once was.
Right. Sorry, finish. Go ahead.
No, that's I was going to talk about a launch client, but I'm happy to answer any questions about.
No, I just think about the micro influencer program. When I think about influencers, I think about the Instagram people that have millions and millions of followers. But that's not even who we're talking about here. We're talking about finding influencers that fit in your niche, and they have to have over a certain number. And you said 10,000, so like that's reasonable. And if they have 10,000 followers and 10% of them actually see your product, that's still 1,000, well, 2,000 more eyeballs on your product or on your item. So like, and it definitely works as like a spider effect. So one person sees it and then they share it with their network and then they share it with their network. And you could potentially, would you advise working with multiple micro influencers at once? Or do you say, let's have this one, let's see how it works? I'm guessing like after you see initial success, you can go to 2 to 3 of them might like be on the fringe of who you're working with, and try and just expand that even further, right?
So there's 2 different types. So the micro influencers we just do in bundles. So usually they're purchased in packs of 50. I hate to put the influencers in packs, but that's how they're purchased. We do run a macro program where we target specific influencers. Like these are influencers like 100 to 200,000 followers. Like don't get me wrong, it would be great to have a Kardashian or one of these top level influencers.
But you're going to pay for that too.
Yeah, you pay for it, but also their audience is so broad that it's really hard to get the type of penetration you're looking for when you're working with influencers. So what we find is actually the micro influencers are better to work with because they're super niche. Like, sure, this particular influencer who is a macro may have 1 million followers, which is great, but they might have a 0.5% engagement, which is really low. I can work with somebody with 50,000 followers and maybe 15 to 20% engagement, but they're in my niche. She actually has influence over the behavior of these particular followers, and it's more geared. It's gonna have more value than somebody who's like a macro. So we tend to focus on the micro influencers, and we do them in buckets of 50 because it's the best way to do it. I mean, the goal really is just to, get your voice out there and really just explode onto social media. So it's a great way to just get a lot of buzz all at once. And these are trickled out over a few month period. So if you're doing 50 influencers, you're probably looking at a 90-day period to complete the entire program because we don't have them all coming at once, and we pace it out. And we monitor too, is quality of the image is good? Are they talking about our product the right way? We'll give them some bullets to call out. Is the content what we're looking for? And then we can kind of tweak it. So it's done incrementally, but it's right. 50 at a 90-day period.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's so many different things that sellers can do and so many different levers they can pull to increase their business and make sure they're sustainable, as through this year, through next year, through any challenges that come up, as we saw in 2020. And, with that, I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on, how sellers can end this crazy year and this unprecedented year we've had in 2020 and some of your expectations for 2021 as we move into a fresh slate and a new year.
Beautiful. Yeah. So, I mean, it's the holiday season. So, I mean, at this point, if you don't have a holiday strategy, if you're not running promotions, if you don't have inventory in Amazon, you have missed the boat. Let's start talking about 2021. My expectations for December is, it's going to be the best December probably in a very long time, mainly because retail is, not doing the Black Friday, Cyber Monday as they normally do. A lot more users have adopted the behavior of shopping online. And something else that's really interesting too is a lot of people are now more programmed is like, I need to get out of the house to go do something. So they maybe go to a store, they'll look around. Like the grocery store is now a family excursion. Like this is where we are in 2020. So that, they'll take pictures, they'll look at items, and then they'll cross-check it digitally on Amazon. If I could save $5 or $10 and get it, in 2 days and save that type of money, I think most customers are willing to do that. And even now, the elderly who are somebody who may be a little slower to adopt digital products and do their shopping online is kind of forced into it because they're more susceptible to the coronavirus, unfortunately. And I guess if I'm giving some tips for people for 2021 in general, is that the landscape has changed. We know that there's a vaccine coming. We don't know when, but it's going to be relatively soon. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be available for the masses in February. I'm going to put myself out on a limb and say I would assume most of 2021, it's going to be a lot of what it is in 2020. I'd imagine essential workers and people who are more susceptible will probably get access to the vaccine probably in April. And then it'll probably roll out the entire year before we could confidently go back to the malls, go to retails, retire your mask, and get back to that normal living. So, with that being said, like, how does one take advantage of this or this new? Because also, like, just because everybody's going back to retail, it doesn't mean that old habits are going to be picked up. The online shopping and digital product discovery is something that's been increasing year over year, and I don't expect it to go like this. It may dip down to just meet the normal demand, but the millennial generation is definitely one that's going to be more likely to do shopping. I do most of my food shopping through Whole Foods on the app, so like I don't need to waste my time to go to a store and unless I just need to get out of the house. So I do think
definitely likely.
Yep, and I do think like if I'm a brand and I'm saying, all right, so now I need to be cognitive of the digital shopper. So how do we take advantage of that? We take advantage of that by creating more personalized offers, pricing, and promotions as a way to differentiate your brand. Invest in upper funnel advertising strategies to capture increased traffic. More people are discovering products online. They're using Amazon as well as other platforms. So investing in programmatic advertising, doing Google display, like there's all these different ways for you to target upper funnel. And I think that would be a good investment as we know this is where product discovery is happening. Expand your catalog assortment to ramp up inventory supply to meet increased consumer demand. So obviously we want to make sure that all your products that are available, especially the most popular selling, are actually available for purchase. And to kind of tear off that, inventory, you definitely need to have a backup. So if you don't have a third-party logistics provider, you definitely need to consider them. Deliverer, ShipStation, and Fourth Way Fulfillment is some local ones that we're a big fan of and will recommend to our clients if they ask. But I would say during peak seasons, during Prime, and maybe even Christmas next year, and at least through January, there's going to be these limitations on how much inventory can I send in and how much will you store at Amazon. So I think that you definitely need to be able to pivot quickly, and having a third-party logistics provider is going to allow you to, flip the switch and not lose your BSR or any opportunities on the platform. The case study with the operations where I talked about the home and garden person, this person did not have a third-party logistic provider. So we spent about 3 months where, we had his second-tier products that just don't sell very well. And that, we did what we could, but we wanted those pride. He lost, he missed a month, about a month and a half of his busiest season. So we could have had a lot more sales if we had inventory available. And if he had a third-party logistics provider and a few thousand units inside of a warehouse, we could have turned that listing to FBM and we could have kept it going, we probably would have never lost the Amazon Choice Badge. We wouldn't have lost BSR. So there's a lot of benefits, but it comes at a price. So maybe you have to increase your pricing, and it is what it is. And then 2 more things: reduce counterfeits and preserve consumer confidence. People are shopping online, need to be vigilant to make sure counterfeit products are not out there, especially in the beauty category and the supplement category. We catch these all the time. We'll buy them and we'll get these people kicked out, but you don't want your customers to get those. And then last but not least, innovate ways to fill in that missing personal touch gap. So there's a lot, because it's digital and you don't have that one-on-one human interaction. If you're looking for ways to differentiate yourself and your brand, it's figuring out what can we incorporate in this customer experience that has that personal touch. Something as simple as, depending on your sales velocity, handwritten notes or cards work great, special promotions or anything else. On Amazon, you obviously can't direct people to your website or off the platform, but you can find creative ways to engage them or get them into subscribe and save, so on and so forth. So those would be, I guess, some of the major recommendations for any brand trying to just make a difference in 2021, which will be another great year for e-commerce.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens, and I think there's all great recommendations for, sellers how to really level up and step up this next year. So Will, with that, I want to say thanks so much for joining us on the State of E-commerce this week. TJ and I have really enjoyed speaking to you and learning what you and Bellavix are doing to help sellers expand and grow in this next year. So with that, we'd love to give you the final word, and if you want to say how, if anyone's interested to learn some more, how they can get in contact with you, that'd be great.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. First of all, this is great. So thanks guys so much for taking the time and having me on. This is really fun. And we've been talking for a while. So definitely grateful for the opportunity. And I have websites, bellavix.com, Will Haire. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. And there's a contact us page on the website, Bellavix. So feel free to reach out. Myself or my customer service manager will answer most of the inquiries that come in. And we love problem solving. So if you feel like you're plateaued, if you're having trouble, expanding your growing sales on Amazon, would love to have a conversation to see, where the opportunity is and how we might be able to help.
Absolutely. I think the point that, it was one of the later points you made, but, being a brand and trying to fill that personal touch gap that is created between, traditional retail and online it's probably one of the more important parts, to make it seem like you're not just clicking a button and saying add to cart, whatever. You want to make it more about the experience, and that, you're building your brand and not just a click online. So I think if anybody takes anything, let's work off that. How can we work that into 2021? Take you from just an Amazon brand to, an off Amazon brand, and blow it up, right? So make it in a good way. and see what it looks like. So for Ben and myself, Will, really appreciate you joining us. We'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Cheers.